Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Modern at the request of Patreon subscriber Jordan, and this is Jeskai Blink. Jordan came to me with kind of an open-ended prompt, which was he wanted to see blue-white in Modern. He's a old-school Modern gamer where Snapcaster Mage Cryptic Command was a play pattern that used to get over in this format, and that era is long past, and he just wanted me to take it upon myself to play whatever version of blue-white or blue-white X is most viable in present-day Modern. And very clearly, by the numbers, it's the Jeskai Blink deck. This has been a top deck in Modern for the past 6 months, 10 months or so. It did quite well at the last, was it a regional championship Modern season? Am I thinking of a Spotlight series? I don't know. I just remember Jeskai Blink bursting onto the scene, winning a giant tournament, and it's just been rock solid ever since. One could argue this is not really a control deck. It's more of a tempo deck, but that depends on if our Ragavan sticks or not, for the most part. This deck does get into spots where you're slow blinking a Solitude to slowly get control thing. You're slow blinking a Fable to make a bunch of 2/2s. This is a deck full of card draw, removal, and slow win conditions. That qualifies as control to me, at least as much as anything can in the Modern format, because every deck is so powerful, so proactive. It's very tough to be an actual, like, Cryptic Command, Counterspell, Snapcaster Mage control deck in this format. You have to go really far down on MTG Goldfish to find anything like that. And I do have a blue-black Riddler deck in my queue as well for Modern, if you want more blue control in a different form. That is coming. But this is what this looks like in the Modern format today. Powerful threats, powerful interaction, and powerful ways to rebuild your hand after you use those cards. This is Jeskai Blink. Let's do it. I'm on the draw in round 1 with kind of a slow stable hand. This isn't like the Ragavan Felia nuts that you'd really like, but I have stable mana. There's 3 Surveil lands in the deck. Flage is incredible at catching up and then turning the corner. I have Riddler plus Ephemerate. Sand does enough that I'm going to keep it. Versus mine. All right, we've got some Tron in the chat. Not exactly where I want to be. Top deck Ragavan. Yeah, Tron is definitely one where you'd like to be pushing early. All right, I'm going to play Flooded Strand and pass. Opponent said they're curious what I'm playing in Modern. It's funny when people try to draw conclusions about what I'm playing or what I'm into or what I like in these various environments. I play what my Patreon sends me, beginning and end of list. I will play the worst shit you've ever seen, and also decks that I absolutely adore. I don't know, it's the same. If you got that money, honey, I got your disease, as they say. All right, Solitude. Pitching that one. If this is Eldrazi Tron, I might regret that down the stretch. But if they're big Tron, I think it's okay. And I'm not dialed in enough to Modern to honestly know right now which is which. Like, maybe this Mind Stone just tells me it's Eldrazi Tron and Solitude's my best card. I have not had reason to really play Modern at the competitive level since the last RCQ season. What were even the decks back then? I'm trying to even remember the last time I sleeved up a Modern deck for serious. I think Breach was still legal or had just been banned. Like, it's been a long time. Okay, a little sequencing oopsie there. Played a land and then cracked Expedition Map for a different land that they were not able to play. Red versus white. I'm going to play Hallowed Fountain this turn. All right, I'll get Meticulous Archive here. Ooh, Felia. Do I want that? I don't think so. Or, no, I'm trying to just big scam here. Okay, I can get a basic Plains and save some damage here. Yeah, I'll just grab a Plains. Go for big Rizzles. Ephemerate this thing. And Prismatic Ending is my reward. 4/6 in play. See what that Eldrazi Temple wants to do. Thought Not Seer. My guess is it's going to be interested in Flage or the second Riddler, which is fine because I have 2 of those things combined. If they take one, I get the other. That's how having 2 works. 2 minus 1 is still 1. And people say I can't do math. It's not that I can't do math, it's just that I won't. I do have a decision to make here, though, which is, do I Ephemerate my Riddler to draw another card, or do I pass on it to start dealing damage? And I think I do want to draw another card. Ephemerate this Riddler, draw a card, Lord Ravioli, and the card my opponent just took from me. If I Prismatic End the Mind Stone, they could draw a card in response, but the Mind Stone is still gone. All right, I'll fetch for a mountain. Prismatic End Mind Stone. Oh, oops, must be F6'd. Do I want to put Ragavan into play or do this Riddler? I could just cast Riddler next turn. I could do that also. All right, the Riddler I think is better here. I just want more options. Blue-White X challenge, right? That's exciting. Galvanic Discharge with Wrath of the Skies. That's a way to ritual up. Like, I can Galvanic Discharge, target Thought-Knot Seer, pay 0, have 3 in the pool, and that basically Dark Rituals out Wrath of the Skies to be bigger. Karn. Got an attack on that guy. I could also just decide I don't care about Thought-Knot Seer right now and Galvanic Discharge the Karn. I could also Flage plus Discharge the Thought-Knot Seer and attack Karn. I've got a lot of options here. Jeskai Blink is not a counterspell deck except for the Consigned Memories, which do apply against this deck. So my opponent is mostly able to set up a big next turn if they just grab some big dummy. Vexing Bauble, okay. That makes me want to Wrath. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I could Galvanic Discharge, spend 0, pay 3, Wrath for 4. That kills Thought-Knot Seer and Vexing Bauble. And then with my remaining mana, I could play Ragavan. I could also attack Karn, use Flage plus Discharge to kill Thought-Knot, and play Ragavan. I'm not really worried about Vexing Bauble right now. I don't like that it could draw a card next turn. Yeah, I think I'm going to do the Wrath thing. Okay, Hallowed Fountain, zap it in, discharge, target, Karn. It doesn't matter what target. I'm not spending the energy. Then 1, 2, 3, Wrath of the Skies for 1, but then pay 4. All right, that shit is dead. Thought-Knot Seer draws a card. Cast Ragavan and kill Karn. All right, that felt pretty good. Versus mine. Opponent has 4 Tron lands in play, but not Tron. 7 total mana here. That could represent Ugin. Okay, another Karn. Oh wait, it's not Ugin, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not Ugin because Ugin's not Eldrazi. Right. Another Karn Wish here. Grabbing Mind Stone. Yeah, that's the Mind Stone I exiled earlier. I don't think there's one in the sideboard. That was by design over there. Okay. Flage. I could use Flage to kill Karn, and then I could attack for 4, which actually puts 1 more damage on my opponent. But I kind of want to just use my onboard resources to do those things, and then I can like cast a second Quantum Riddler. Attack Karn, attack opponent. This is the first time I've triggered a Ragavan in a very long time. Unless opponent has Dismember. Ooh. Is that what's going on? Are they going to save Karn with it or avoid a Ragavan hit with it? Save Karn with it. Well, good news, everyone. I still have the Flage. Oh, I flip Sire 7 deaths? Shame I can't cast it. But I'm glad my opponent doesn't have it. Flage, 3 to Karn. And then I'm going to get a dual land so I can use Flooded Strand here. Steam Vents, Sacred Foundry. I have enough blue, and there's not that many blue cards. All right. Fable and Mirror Breaker. Get that one in. And pass. We are playing against Tron. Big, awful things could happen. I like my position, short of getting All Is Dusted or something. All right, Ugin, Eye of Storms. With 1 card left in the hand. Do I have enough pressure here to get over this thing? Add 3 colorless. I hate that for me. And had a Glaring Fleshraker as well. So that's a blocker and another exile. That's really good. All right, this is exactly the big Tron shit that could make my life worse. Can I find an Arena of Glory this turn? Do I want this Ragavan anymore? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think I want Ragavan anymore. Felia Solitude. Man, that card's good. I have to start pushing damage onto the Ugin. Just have to decide how I want to do it. I think having Flage in my graveyard is more useful than having it in play, because Flage being exiled here is so tough, but I have 3 Arena of Glories in this deck. That's a lot of that to have access to. Any spell bricks everything I'm trying to do, though. All right, Solitude, clear the Flesh Raker, put 2 damage on Ugin, and then hopefully Thelia can provide some additional action at instant speed, even if my opponent clears my board here. Adding 3 colorless, that's horrifying. Didn't even need to draw a card, already has a good one. This is so much mana. Am I getting Ulamogged? What's going on? Or Kozilek's Command making dopes. Yeah, that's what's happening for sure. Scry a million, make a bunch of guys, exile one of my permanents. I love that the design of Ugin Eye of the Storms was blatantly just somebody in Wizards of the Coast saying, you know what, Tron, with Karn liberated, not good enough for Modern anymore. How do we get just classic Tron back on the map? Well, you did it. 9 spawns, exile a thing, scry a gajillion. Ophelia plus Flage can answer Ugin this turn, even if I don't come up with a arena. I could flicker the Flage and then it will die, but I will get 2 Lightning Helixes out of the deal. Though my opponent's looking at 9 cards right now. Another Kozilek's Command in hand basically seals it. Wow, 1 top, 8 bottom. How are 8 out of 9 cards bad? That number feels impossible. But one of them's very good. Devourer of Destiny. Okay, so all my permanents are gone, but the coast is clear to answer Ugin. And I have a little bit of counting to do here. End step. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's Riddler. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's Flage. I could fetch a Surveil land here, but if I want to play Riddler and Flage next turn, which I kind of do, I need both of my treasures. Feli is here. Big Rip. Ragavan. Not really who I was looking for. Quantum Riddler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw 2. Solitude. I do have the ability to cast that. A Flooded Strand. Fetch. Shock. Steam Vents. I'm going to lose Felia this combat, but it's going to be worth it to deal with Ugin. A Flage in here. Deal 3 to Ugin. Attack. They're going to block anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll attack Ugin just in case they don't block. Flicker the Flage out. Smell you later, Felia. Do I want Ragavan in play? I think I do. That at least turns on Riddler. 3 damage to Ugin. Okay, we're back, baby. Tron top deck mode. It has some of the scariest top decks in the format. Let's see that Mind Stone get cracked. Dig, dig, dig. Okay. The first draw didn't do it. The 4th Urza's is mine before finding the first power plant. Though the game has gone so long, my opponent can cast all the spells they want to cast anyway. Though I imagine if that Kozilek's Command last turn was for 18 instead of 9, they probably would have done better this turn. Okay, draw 2 in my draw step, thanks to Rizzler. 2 Scalding Tarns, thanks a lot, Rizzler. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 1 fetchable left in the deck. I'm gonna use it while it still exists. Scalding Tarn, gone. Flage. I'm gonna go face here because killing one of the spawns, they could sack it and I don't gain the life. And I'm in a little bit of a damage race now. Easy block there. And I'm ahead, but it's tenuous. Okay, no play. Kozilek's Command is the thing that would scare me the most. Okay, they scooped. I was gonna upkeep the Solitude so I get to draw 2 cards. Nice. Taking game 1 feels good. That got dicey for a little while. Obsidian Charmaw, name of the game. Strict Serenade counters Artifact, Creature, or Planeswalker. That's all the cards in Tron. Deal. Cards that are less good. Teferi. Barely matters at all. Wrath of the Skies could clear a bunch of spawns, I guess, but I don't think that's my primary plan. Consign to Memory. Maybe it'll show up this game. Solitude's Dees. In Ragavan's really bad if they have turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer, and fine if it connects a little bit. I think it's probably worse than Obsidian Charmaw. Wear Tear, we did see some artifacts in there, and Karn is part of their plan. Do I like Wear Tear better than any of the cards that are already in my deck, or any of the sideboard cards I just brought in? Prismatic Ending only goes to 3. Wear Tear probably kills everything that Prismatic Ending does. There's at least Glaring Fleshraker. But I have a lot of creature removal. And Discharge, we saw 2 different high-impact Planeswalkers. I think I believe in Discharge more than getting a Ragavan back in here. Okay. That's why you board out 2 Ragavans, because the other one's going to be in your opening hand anyway. And now that's 66% less likely to draw another one when it's not good anymore. Just how we drew it up. Urza's Mine. Opponent loves playing Urza's Mines. They had 4 of them last game. Yeah, I'm going to go for my Sacred Foundry. I don't want to give away the farm on telegraphing Consign to Memory by fetching Steam Vents first. Right now is very important. Can my opponent get in front of me with a blocker or a removal spell, or can Ragavan do a little bit? It's an Eldrazi spell. Okay, sure. That works. Kozilek's Command handled. Multiple counter spells in the grip. I don't think I'm fighting over Mind Stones. Tower. It was good sequencing to play the Mind Stone before the tower. Ooh. The Maw. And this costs 2 right now. That's the magic number. I'm not going to give it haste because that is not important to me. I am going to blast this Urza's Tower, though. The Eldrazi Temple is kind of tempting. Like, if they don't get Tron, the Temple is a better land. But if they do get Tron, it's like I killed nothing if I go after the Temple. Expedition Map. I think that's fine, too. Right, so they will have Tron next turn. Another Consign, though I'm sitting on 1 blue source. Not the best conversion right here. I guess if that's the case, I can just Plage. Do I want to stunt the mana? Oh, you're a freaking Tron. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That 1 mana is not going to change it. The 1 life might, though. The Expedition Map. My Charmaw has bought me a turn here. Power Plant arriving. If they have Ugin or Ulamog or any of those big things, I have to endure the trigger, but I can answer the body. Karn with 3, 4, 5, 6 mana left, 7 for Eldrazi. I am going to go after the Karn. Oh, no follow-up spell. That's huge. Come on, blue source. Yeah, all right. Now I can interact twice, or I could get Riddler involved. I think I want a Riddler here because my opponent only did 1 thing last turn. Why am I suddenly worried about 2 things? And if I hit like Ephemerate or something here, Wear Tear. That could destroy Mind Stone, but that just draws a card. All right, it's fine. I'll pass. Yeah, Mind Stone's on the way out anyway. If I get to use any of these counterspells this turn, then I have Flage material for next turn. And if I don't use any of my counterspells this turn, then I can fetch a Surveil Land and I have Flage material for next turn. Karn, is this my fight? There's so much mana left over. I could counter what comes out of Karn. All right, I think I'm going to let this ride just because we're so close to winning the game right now. Aha! This, so gain 3 life, draw a card does matter. What I'm thinking about here is Karn getting Tormod's Crypt. All right, I guess I have to play my counterspell here. Hallowed Fountain. Consign with Replicate. For the trigger, counter the Ugin. Karn does have an activation here. If it doesn't get Tormod's Crypt, my opponent is dead. It has to be 0 mana graveyard removal. Tormod's Crypt confirmed. Have to use it right now. You can't let me get to my main phase. Yeah, there you go. Handled. Okay, that's actually awesome. Do I have another untapped? Yeah, there's a Steam Vents in the deck. So I can go red, red, blue, blue, colorless, Riddler with haste. And I would love to have my opponent at 1, but Karn is one of those things that, if left alone, could win the game. And I think Strict Serenade is better. Like, I could have put my opponent to 1 and Gal Blasted Karn, but I don't think 1 is that different from 5 in this matchup, and them having 1 big bang or game-ending spell is very different than being at 1 or 5. Oh no. If this is Kozilek's Command, I actually can't counter that one. And that is what it looks like. Hopefully this is Walking Ballista or some other X-Spell, but it's clearly an X-Spell. Okay, scry 11, make 11 spawns was the decision. 2 top, 9 to the bottom. Karn. That actually, I'm going to let that resolve because I can counter any artifact they tutor with Karn with Strict Serenade, and then that could get them to commit more mana. Oh, I don't even have to counter that one. That's even better. Resolves, sideboard wear tear, clutch. Okay, end step, fetch for the steam vents, take the damage, discharge the Karn in my upkeep, kill ensnaring bridge. Now I get to draw 2. That does not put lethal on the board. Oh wait, yeah, it does. I forgot. They are at 5. It's not 9 anymore. GG's. Those were GG's. It feels like I got away with a tough matchup. At least certainly winning game 1 felt really good. And then honestly, the bringing in that pile of cards for the sideboard felt really good. On to the next one. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in round 2. Hand's a little clunky, but I am going to keep it. I'm kind of priced into fetching Steam Vents here because the other cards don't work. My opponent mulled to 5, but does have the Leyline. Ragavan. I have one of those too. I guess my Ragavan is on blocking duty, unless I draw a removal spell right now. Alright, well that makes fetching Steam Vents much easier. We'll block a Reno. I hope you needed that. Please don't have Scion of Draco. Yeah, there's that mulligan. Yeah, and I could have countered Scion. It doesn't get all the colors till it's in play, but it's like, put the shields down versus Ragavan, or hope they don't have Scion. I don't know. That it was a strong mulligan, and they knew to chase the nut draw instead of trying to play normal Magic. Holding up Consigned versus playing Quantum Riddler here, largely irrelevant. Okay, passing the turn. My game plan to get out of this is to play Teferi next turn, bounce Leyline, and by then come up with a white card to pitch to Solitude. I guess playing Riddler would have helped me do that. I'm just really worried about the second Draco. It's going to take all my cards to answer the first one. It's cycling in Doubt the Triome. They are out of gas here. All right, white card. That's a Plains. That's not a white card according to the rules. All right, Teferi, get in there. Oh, did you draw Stubborn Denial? What's this pause? Okay. That's the Leyline. Big money, white card. Yeah! We're gaming. Okay. We're back in here, team. Passing the turn, I can exile Draco, and they can replay the Leyline, but they're going to have to fetch and shock a lot to do that. And Ragavan can be all colors as long as it's not also a Scion of Draco. Wood of Foothills. Something's happening. Moving to combat. Well, this is good, because they think Ragavan has First Strike here. They block Ragavan, Solitude, Scion. Before First Strike damage, very important. And because of Teferi, I know I'm not going to get Lightning Bolted or anything here in combat. Okay, what is the card in your hand that's not Leyline? Because if their hand was only Leyline, they would have played it pre-combat, because combat's just so much better with Leyline around. There must be something else over there. Leyline Binding. Okay. All right. That kind of sucks. Deal. They've not replayed their Leyline. I think I want to Riddle first, because if I spike an untapped blue source, I get to keep it. Okay. Didn't get to keep it, but Flage is a welcome sight. Prismatic Ending. That could kill various Kavus and shit they might play. Ragavans. I think I'm just going to bin this. I need fuel for Flage. There's only 4 cards in my graveyard right now, and none of the cards in my hand just naturally put themselves into the graveyard. Well, Flage does, but other than that, I don't have a line on the 5th card, and if I didn't bin that Prismatic Ending, I would have needed a line on the 4th and 5th card. The Leyline's back. That only matters if there's a Scion to go with it. My second Arena of Glory. Flage to the face. I have Consign up that can counter Scion. Just always the scariest card. Fetch land lets me go to Crush Town. Alright, that's not quite Crush Town. It is a 5th card in my graveyard for next turn. Life total's starting to move back in the similar direction here. Just fetching lands out of the deck in the end step. Okay, passing the turn. So their hand must be burn spells, leyline bindings, or lands. Okay, I can do cool trick here. I'm gonna exert this land, leave an exert red floating to also cast Ragavan this turn with haste. And if leyline binding is the interaction my opponent has, I have consigned a memory that can beat it. Right, haste Ragavan, that doesn't come back to my hand. Oh, we're in combat. They just have nothing. That's great. Could be Stubborn Denials over there. Flipped Arid Mesa off their deck. That's 2 consigns showing for my turn, in case I care about that. Nice. All right, that was pretty sweet. That was definitely taking the control posture, getting a little lucky, finding a white card off of that Teferi bounce. I'll take it. Okay, I like Celestial Purge. I like Wear Tear. I think we're mostly kind of pre-boarded for this matchup. That's how it feels. Wrath of the Skies. It's not going to get to 12 to kill a Draco, but it could get to 4, especially with the help of Galvanic Discharge. Teferi had a hero moment that game, but that doesn't mean he's actually good, and I'm bringing in other answers to Leyline. The question is, how many Wraths do I want in? I don't think any of these other cards are coming in. I could just go 1 Wrath if I don't want to board them all out. Consign hits Leyline Binding and Scion of Draco out of their deck, plus all the synergy I have with my own deck with Flage and Riddler. That's pretty nice. Solitude's one of my best cards. Ragavan might actually be where I cut. On the draw, that guy, unlikely to get through a 5/5 or a 4/4. And I've just upped my white count significantly for Solitude. I do have turn 1 interaction, but it's... Alright, I will try this. If my opponent's on just like a Ragavan curve out kind of thing, I think this is fine. Okay. Yeah, no Leyline and just a tap land to start. I'll drop this Thundering Falls. Get it out of the hand. Hallowed Fountain, you're out of here. Interesting. Playing against Control Zoo, it seems. Yeah, I'm happy to play Draw Go. Don't let me rush you. Go shock that in. So there's a spell in the end step here. Doorkeeper Thrall. Alright. Yeah. That card is solid against Felia, poor against Flage. And you could scam in your own Flage here. Null Drifter! Wow, that's a whole ass angle of the deck I wasn't expecting. Alright, well, that's bad. I've seen Doorkeeper Thrall in Zoo before. The Null Drifter angle is crazy. Okay. Fetch for Plains, develop Felia. Yeah, this Null Drifter is just here. Okay. Oh, well, there's the card I needed last turn to blow out this sequence. What can I do now? I could put Flage into play, and it's just there. I can attack for 2. Yeah, I'm going to attack for 2. Might as well. Null Drifter draws 2 on cast, not on enter, which is why it works with the Thrall. Flage stays in play. It's possible to win a damage race if my opponent just has nothing here. Like, I could sacrifice Plains and game on pretty effectively from this spot, but if they can Leyline Bind my Flage, I'm in some trouble. Second Null Drifter. Okay. That's not as bad as it looks. Annihilate my Plains. I'll take it. The big draws. Galvanic Discharge. Play my land first. Oh no. Yeah, there should still be a Sacred Foundry in the deck. All right. Yeah, the number of duels in the deck versus the number of fetches here is actually kind of dicey. What do I want to kill here? I could kill Doorkeeper Thrall. I think I need to kill a Null Drifter, though. All right, I'm going to move to combat first. Okay. Attacks. I'll delete, I guess, this Null Drifter. And I'll deal 3 to this one. Galvanic Discharge. It could have Stubborn Denial, but I have a second Discharge. I prefer not to have to use it, though. All right, deal 1 damage here. That's handled. Flicker that one out. 8 damage coming through. When it's at 6. Prismatic end the Thrall now. Oh no, I can kill the other Null Drifter. Yeah, that's the way. With my floating energy. Totally reasonable mechanic. I'd zap this one. Were they sitting on Stubborn Denial the whole time? Or did I get something here? It's like I got something here. All right, game on. We've stabilized, but they do have 7 cards in hand. I have a Flagid play. Kept the card on top. Shit. No way that's good for me. Arena of Glory kills me for Xaxes if they have a Flage. All right, it's not Arena. It's an Arid Mesa. Yeah, that's in play. It's not attacking. Not yet. And I do have an answer for it. Leyline Binding. Okay. Who do you want? It's got to be Flage, right? Yep. All right. That's handled. Okay. Thrall puts me to 12. Didn't have a counterspell last turn. I'm going to hope they still don't have one now. Oh, that's curious. Hold on. Hold on. If I attack, flicker out Doorkeeper, Thrall, flash in Solitude, exile Flage, that doesn't make any sense. All right, hold on. Yeah, in my head, I somehow thought I could Solitude and exile Leyline Binding to get 3 extra damage, but them gaining 6 counters that, and also that would involve 2 Felia triggers, which is not how the card works. Exile Flage, and hope this resolves. Attacks. Flickering Leyline Binding doesn't matter, right? Yeah, because the Flage comes in with nothing. I'll flicker the Thrall out. The opponent is at 2 life. 6 cards in hand. I'm fighting the good fight out here. Temple Garden. All right, they didn't take 2 for the memes. Fable. Not a creature, so it does make a 2-2. That 2-2 is not long for this world. Scion of Draco. Okay. The Doorkeeper Thrall even has Vig, so there's nothing to think about. I'll get a Surveil land here. Elegant Parlor seems like the one. Another Solitude. This... Hold on. Okay, so this doesn't work. This doesn't matter. I would have to... What I could do is flicker out Thrall on attack, Solitude, whatever they block with, and then kind of dance these Solitudes back and forth. What's better than that? I mean, if I can just destroy Leyline Binding, but I have 1 Wear Tear in my deck for that, the Teferi's out, I guess I'll keep this. What I have to worry about here is a double block, which is not rocket science, unfortunately. If they just double block here, the Solitude won't save my Felia. Yeah, there it is. Okay, but what I can do is kill both of their creatures, because I could take First Strike off of the Shaman. You gain 4 life, which you're probably happy to have. And now the other Solitude in my hand is on. Or no, it's not, because Felia is gone and Doorkeeper Thrall's back. Magic's hard. I feel this one slipping away, and probably because I didn't navigate it somewhere correctly. Like, being just 2 points off this deep in the game feels so crazy. Another 4/4 and a Fable. Down to 1 card in hand. The Fables are going to start flipping. Those rats I boarded in would be welcome here. We'll kill most of their stuff. Ridiculous Archive, not very good. Scalding Tarn, very bad. I don't even gain life by attacking, and they have exactly lethal on the board. That sucks. Yeah, this was a sweet game. I was 2 life points away from winning a game where my opponent scammed 2 Null Drifters on turns 2 and 3, or 3 and 4. Not bad. Oh, fuck. Well, I mean, that mostly doesn't matter. I was losing this turn anyway. Okay, block this Goblin. Oh, I could have... Shit. Man, combat math is hard. If I had played the other Solitude and double blocked the Goblin, I would have gained 3 life and killed it. Okay. Oh, they had Lightning Bolt, which that play wouldn't have worked. Okay, cool. Cool. I'm figuring out all of the levels to this match live on stream, which is right where you're supposed to do it. Okay, a tight one brought to you by the card Null Drifter. And I have all these answers in my deck to Doorkeeper Thrall. I have Consigned to Memories. Those are just in my deck. Do I want more Ragavan on the play? I don't think so. And Teferi makes them main phase the Thrall, which makes it much easier for me to play around. And the Rats get the Thrall as well. Okay, I think this is fine. Okay, I like this open. I'll keep, again, the board out 2 Ragavans because you'll always draw one. Strategy, paying out strong. Okay, your own Ragavan. I can answer that and then hit you with my Ragavan. Flooded Strand, discharge, put 1 on that, 2 energy in the bank. Rag getting in there. Got an Arena of Glory that, unfortunately, it is illegal to play. Okay, there's no Scion here. I'm going to go for Felia. That Ragavan treasure. Okay, so here, if my opponent plays Doorkeeper Thrall in combat, it trades with Ragavan, and that's completely fine with me. And if they don't, okay, also, I'm going to flicker out the Leyline and make them crack their Flooded Strands if they want to do something. Right, floated a mana with one of them, cracked the other one. Doorkeeper Thrall. Oh my goodness. I'm just fine with that trading with Ragavan. Okay, got the trade they wanted, apparently. Thundering Falls. Lage, get the Entomb straight in. Pass the turn. Your Leyline comes back. But my Solitude works, and I'm not getting my Null Drifted this turn. Flage, that happens. I'm not going to Solitude the Flage on the front. I have my own who is ready to party here. And I draw Arena for the 1-2. Fable, okay. So pause in my upkeep. We have Surgical Extraction in. All right. Can't stop that. Flage is pretty solid all around. But I'm kind of happy to see any card that didn't deal a bunch of damage to me when it was cast. Or it's not a giant hexproof creature. Fable. I am going to play the land out because I like the Surveil, even though I know I could loot the land out later. Opponent needs a land to cast Flage here. The fetch lands are already in the bank. If they have +1 mana here somehow, then Flage is online, but they've seen the Solitude in my hand. Basic Mountain. All right, Flage is on. It doesn't have haste, which means I can take a Surveil plus a loot and see how I want to handle this. This hardcasting Solitude's fine. Prismatic Ending is here, even if the Solitude doesn't work. Or I don't find the mana for Solitude. That's what doesn't work means in this context. I need a white source. Looks like Meticulous Archive. Or I have double blue already. I'll get Elegant Parlor. Ragavan, no thank you. Quantum Riddler. Okay. Alright, no. Just simply not using my guy. 3 mana for Prismatic Ending, and here we go. Both players 2 cards in their hands. Sign of Draco, insane for them. Quantum Riddler is one of my best cards I could have in a spot like this. Null Drifter. Not enough mana to draw and flash in just the Thrall here. That is just going to come and go. But a Divination is pretty good. Wear Tear. I don't really care about the Leyline anymore, but I care a lot about Leyline Binding. As much as I'd love to get down to 1 card in hand, I just don't think this is where I should put this. Mystical Dispute. All right, well, I'm glad I didn't jam off on that. Okay, pass. Thundering Falls. Dumped a backup Leyline. Another land. Felia. Okay, that's cool. Is it deranged to attack with Reflection? I could have multiple Solitudes available here. Nah, I want to do some damage. If they have Lightning Bolt, they could kill it anyway. If they have Thrall, it doesn't matter. They're cracking a bunch of fetch lands in the end step. Looks like they're like sick of drawing lands and just trying to get them out of the way. They're all out. Mystical Dispute does counter Felia here because they have plenty of mana to cast it. Territorial Kavu. That guy's solid. Okay, end step Felia. Okay, that's in. Galvanic Discharge. Does that help? I don't think so. My opponent has actual domain at this point. I guess I have to pitch the Wear Tear to get through this. I could also just ignore Territorial Kavu for a while. I am allowed to do that. Oh, I have fucking energy in the bank. That's how this mechanic works. Someday I'll remember. Exactly the right amount, conveniently. Pay 5 energy to clear that thing out, and then I'm gonna attack and blink out the Reflection. Get my Fable. Going again. I liked that story so much the first time. I'd like to hear it again. All right, we're heating up. Just no interaction on that whole turn cycle. Not a mystical dispute on the Felia, not a leyline binding on anything. Okay, there you go. That one works. That was clearly just drawing, or it would have happened already. Arid Mesa. I will loot that away. The Refable. Goblin is in, and I am refabling. As important as the card selection and stuff is here, my opponent's also at 8, and I have 4 power in play. 8 power if we wait long enough, if the Fables flip. Wow, okay. Don't even want to draw a last card. They've had enough. That was a really fun back and forth match. On to the next one.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 3 with some cool spells and lands that cast them. Marsh Flats. Okay, it's Steam Vents time. And here's the rag. Fetching in response, do we have a Stern Scolding? Oh, no, we're just Boros Energy. They'll have plenty of stuff to put in front of this guy. And a Johnny, a Voice of Victory. Basically every card in their deck blocks Ragavan like crazy. I guess I want to... Do I want to develop Riddler here? Or do I want to Surveil? Developing Riddler doesn't even do anything. I'm going to Surveil. Ooh, Entomb, Entomb. I got excited to see that. I might have just wanted it to kill a Johnny, actually. Oops. When it fetched a Sacred Foundry untapped, we've got an old Pyromancer. This is going to make a lot of garbage. And probably put their own Flage in the graveyard. It sure did. Imagine thinking Uro should be banned in this format when Flage is doing all this shit. Alright, I'm going to play Teferi. And that's one of the few ways to get this cat out of play without a Johnny going nuts. And I don't want to trade Ragavan for an elemental token. I'll just hold that back home. Goblin Bombardment. Okay, right on time with that Teferi, actually. The Johnny is deadly the second a cat appears on this battlefield. Teferi is slain. Okay, some Arenas of Glories. I could do some cool stuff here. Alright, I'm going to go red, and then cast Quantum Riddler and Felia. And they can Goblin Bombard the Felia, and they might have to, but I'm happy with that. Costs you 2 real creatures. Like, it'll cost either Guide of Souls or a Johnny, which are both super important. Okay, yeah. Nice. It's pretty sweet when the Goblin Bombardment isn't just killing you and your opponent actually has to sacrifice creatures they put real investment into to slow you down a little bit. Ragavan not on the dash. That scares me. You just have a replacement of Johnny. All right, now we're dead. This is the thing I was saying that is boring as a corollary to the thing I was just saying was cool. Now I'm just going to get smoked by this interaction and there's nothing I can do about it. Okay, that window came and went. There's a card short of going nuts with Flage there. Wrath of the Sky's coming in. Celestial Purge. Teferi, actually really bad. And Ragavan, pretty bad. Wear Tear can blow up things like the Goblin Bombardment or potentially a Blood Moon. Alright, I think that's worth it. Let's go. Strict Serenade can counter creatures. Am I supposed to have that in? And their deck is mostly creatures. Alright, no Ragavans. Strict Serenade's in. It's weird because you're countering a 2-power creature to give them a 2-power creature with flying, but their creature probably has other words that are going to add up to being much worse than that. Alright, I will keep this hand. It has the Serenade tech. And more importantly, it has Felia Riddler. Felia can also blink out the Strix that I give them. Guide of Souls. I think this one has to be okay, and I would fight over like a Johnny's or Pride's. I get Meticulous Archive. Arena of Glory will be good eventually, but I play a lot of those. Pass the turn. Dashing Ragavan. I don't want to trade Felia for that. I also don't want to counter it with Strix. All right, I'm gonna roll the dice on Ragavan. And not attacking with Guide of Souls is the heads up play. Rag connects. Exiled Wrath of the Skies. I would have liked to draw that. And here's Oscillate Pride. Will I ever recover from that? No. You've successfully taken me off of my curve, which is what you wanted to do, which is what Ragavan does. Elegant Parlor coming in. Fable. I want Fable. Flage. I'll take Flage. Wipe out that Guide of Souls. And now Felia might be worth on a dashed rag to clear it out. Now that I have Flage about to turn the corner on everybody. Yeah, I'm definitely leaning hard on Quantum Riddler, which is one of the key cards in the deck. It's fine to lean hard on a card you built your deck around. Opponent has a land, but no follow-up 1-drop. I drew a mountain straight up. Guess that lets me keep my fetch land. White, red, white, red. My deck doesn't use the graveyard at all. I can just eat whatever I want. Elegant Parlor in response. Dumping Goblin Bombardment. Let's take out that bird that I gave them. All right, I'm still at 20 life. And I have a Flage in play. Your own Flage, getting that set up for next turn. Pretty good. Wrath of the Skies, I'm not upset about. I think I just want to cast this Quantum Riddler. Opponent loves fetching in response to me fetching. Steam Vents, get that in. If they have the Arena, I'm in trouble. If they don't, I think I'm fine. But I do have 2 6 toughness creatures that they have to respect here, even if they do have Arena. And I'm not at 12 life. All right, cool. Just went bigger too fast. I don't think play draw is really impacting my decisions here. We saw that Zoo player bring in Surgical Extraction just for Flage, and Flage obviously is a massive defining part of the matchup we're playing. This card is just abysmal, though. It's like level 3 of a package. It's like we have to survive the early game, we have to Wrath the mid game, and then we have to Surgical in the late game. And Surgical doesn't help you get through phase 1 or 2, but it's like fine to solid in that phase 3. I think I'm going to shave a Consign for a Surgical. I'll experiment with that, because Flage is really the thing that matters most if we get into the part of the game that I want to be playing. Oh, this hand is so slow, but double Flage is so nice. When I kept 7, I'm going to mulligan. My hand has so much removal in it, or my deck has so much removal in it. This is only a little bit better, but I will take it. Sacred Foundry, Guide of Souls. Okay. Fable has arrived. Oscillate Pride. I could counter this right now, but if they have Ragavan, I get buried. I could also wait till the end step and counter that. All right, I'm going to go for it now. Hallowed Fountain. Counter this trigger. Hope you don't have a 1-drop red card. It didn't have the 1-drop red card. Dodged that Cruel Fate at least. Elegant Parlor. Okay, they played around Felia last game and are not doing it now, which means they have a removal spell. Can I get Mountain here, or do I need actual colors? Yeah, I think I need Sacred Foundry for Wrath of the Skies. That remains the best draw in my deck. Felia straight into Galvanic Discharge. It's fine, gotta make you have it. There are 3 Wraths in my deck. Can we find one? Strix Serenade. That's interesting. I guess leaving that up is better than tapping out for Fable, which was my plan before that. Ooh, giving something haste. This is a great turn to have Strix Serenade up, I guess. Or unhasted it. Ranger Cap. That makes it hard for me to cast spells. Right, I will counter that, which means Guide of Souls has 3 energy because I gave them a creature. Did they play around the second Felia? Yes, they did. Smart. Okay, Felia is here. You get a cat and an energy. Can I find a good card? Oh, good. There's none of the red cards in play currently. Perfect. Just how we drew it up. I'll play Fable. I'm not bluffing anything here. I just need this game to have a good card at some point. I could kill all their cat tokens this turn. All right, yeah, I'm going to blink out Bird and just try to maybe get control of this battlefield. If the card I'm trying to draw is Wrath of the Skies anyway, let's just keep the board small in the interim. Celestial Purge. Hey, that's that card that's in my hand, but it's bad. Yeah, I go to 4. It's really Wrath or Bust here. I guess Flage is okay too. I'm going to discard Purge and Wear Tear. Solitude doesn't do it. None of this does it. Yep. I don't have an energy in the bank this time. GG. Yeah, I just drew a couple cards that were a little bit too bad on the wrong turns, and I was too far behind by the time it mattered. This is the #1 deck in Modern for a reason. On to the next round.
The NYSE Open is returning on June 6, 2026 to Long Island, New York. This proxy-friendly vintage tournament has the guaranteed prize pool of 8 pieces of Power 9 to be drafted by the top 8 based on final standings. Any additional profits made from the event will be added to the prize pool as on-site vendor credit. This tournament has been great the last 2 years. How often do you get to act sad about winning just a time walk? You know I'll be there. See you at the NYSE Open on June 6 on Long Island, New York. Use my link in the video description or find the New York Stacks Exchange on melee.gg.
I'm on the draw for round 4. Solid hand. I'm in. A Hallowed Fountain is going to show me how to blue-white. I just zap that in. Didn't do anything with it. Okay, I have now a blue card and a reason to fetch my Thundering Falls, which I was likely to do anyway. Generous Ent. Alright, it looks like we're probably against some kind of living end. And by some kind of living end, I mean living end. There's only one kind. Hedge Maze. Kept the card. A Consigned to Memory just became one of the most important cards in my deck. Thundering Falls. Surveil Arena. Oh my goodness. Okay. Big Rips. Draw the Consigned to Memory. And pass. I've got Consign if you send it. Felia if you don't. Cycling a Curator of Mysteries in the end step. Definitely living end. And there's no double black, so I don't have to worry about getting deseated here. Wistfulness probably in this deck. I got a big upgrade from Lorwyn Eclipse and the new Evoke Elementals. I don't think they can go at instant speed anymore. At least I hope not, because I am tapping out for Felia. I'm in there. Ooh, another blue means it's not actually suicide to try to riddle out here. I was not going to do that unless I drew blue, and I did. Now I'm still holding up Consign, and I can do what my deck's supposed to do. Opponent might have something like Endurance right now, but I'll still bet on Quantum Riddler versus Endurance in play. And the Endurance puts the Felia in the graveyard, where it is more useful to me if a living end does sneak through. I can get my engine back online quickly. Alright, none of that happened. Back in business. A white card also puts Solitude. Yeah, okay, cool. But Prismatic Ending, that means if we have a showdown around the living end and my opponent wins the showdown, I can then pitch Solitude, target nothing. Solitude's in the graveyard, comes back, takes out their biggest creature, and I at least have something going on the other side. Trips Curator in the graveyard. Mysterized Village, smart. Okay. Oh well, that's not what I'm fighting over anyway. I'm fighting over the Cascade trigger, not the living end spell. Hallowed Fountain coming in here. Consign that trigger. It's me at least one turn, but the next Cascade thing can successfully cascade. Ephemerate. That's interesting. All right, I'll play Sacred Foundry, and I'm going to play Pre-Combat Fable and Mirror Breaker. I'm showing Consigned to Memory and Ephemerate right now. Just trying to advance my Felia situation. No block is crazy. Why wouldn't you block there? And the block saves damage and puts Shardless Agent in the graveyard, which is where it's better for living end. Unless they don't have the second wave yet. Or use and Deceit target your own creatures. If it can, you could bounce the Shardless Agent and replay it for 5 mana next turn. I would definitely Solitude the agent in response if that happens, or anything like that. Breeding Pool, zapped it in. A Subtlety or an Endurance would completely cook my plan to Solitude in response. Oh, they're channeling turtles to bounce tokens. What's going... Okay, no, that does make sense. Yeah, that puts the turtle in the graveyard. Sure. Okay, here comes the living end. I'll Solitude in response and hope that Subtlety and Endurance aren't in my opponent's hand right now. Okay, exile Shardless Agent. We passed the subtlety test. How about the endurance test? A living end resolves. Solitude clears generous ent. And I'm going to ephemerate this thing immediately. I'm not bluffing anything. This is what I got. Flare of Denial, hot. All right. That's sweet. That's a reason not to block. Okay. I feel you on the Shardless Agent opponent. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Good tech. Can I high roll a Flage? I'll discard Backup Fable and Mountain. Arena of Glory could do something someday. I am short on damage to beat this Sky Turtle. Fable flips next turn. I take 10 and then another 10, and it's too late, even with gaining 3 in the middle. I'm trying to think if I should try to bait my opponent into a bad block on this Solitude. And yes, because Fable's not going to flip in time is the answer. Okay, this is awesome if it stays. Okay, blocking with everything. How do I want to handle this now? Okay. If I put 3 damage on Turtle. Oh, all right, they're backing off. All right. Going back to basics here. Just blocking with one thing. Okay, Galvanic Discharge, put 1 damage on this. And then I'll have 2 energy in the bank to hit the other one. Force of Negation is on right now, unfortunately. I spend 1 of that. And then I can get the Turtle. That's even better. There will come a day when I know how to do energy math. That day is not this day. Okay, I've bought as much time as I can. Another living end puts all these guys back in, but it also brings my Solitude, my Felia, and my Quantum Riddler back. Living end is actually better for me now than it is for them. But their deck is built to make that change or like be able to clear that. Something like Endurance can handle it. And they're at 5 mana now where they could just start casting their Curators of Mysteries and the next land casts Generous, and if they have Wistfulness, they could cast it with both modes right now and go nuts. The Curator of Mysteries, whenever you cycle or discard a card, scry 1, they've got actual card selection here, though it doesn't matter on Generous End, because you scry to the top and then you search for a land and that card's gone. 2 Endurances went to the bottom, but they're back in the pool now. Subtlety in the deck, Beseiju in the deck. Press the enemy, okay. I'm actually reading a card for the first time. Return target spell or non-land permanent opponent controls to your hand. You may cast it as a sorcery with less mana value. Okay, so that's a way to cast Living End from your hand. Makes sense to have something like that around. Ooh. Solitude's one of my better cards. All right, I am going to pass. And if they crack their food, I'll Solitude. If they don't, I'll just hold Solitude. What I don't want here is to get hard cast. Ugh. Well, I don't want that either. All right, now Living End is way better for them again. Okay, Endurance resolves. And then I'm going to Solitude this Curator. 1 card in their hand. I guess it could be the Flare, but that doesn't put anything where they actually want it. They would rather have Curator and Exile than Solitude in my graveyard, I think is an accurate statement. All right, 2 cards in hand. I am winning on the board. However, a Living End completely changes that immediately. No blocks. All I can do is hope they don't have it. Okay, I've been granted a turn to play the game. Felia, pretty decent. Let's copy a Solitude and start causing trouble. Exile this Endurance. I think it's better for me to hold back Felia here, so I can have, like, anything after. Oh no, another Endurance. Sure. Oh. Mistrized Village, making Endurance uncounterable. You might as well. Okay, well, putting Solitude in the graveyard, as we've discussed, is nothing here. Could block the real one. Or they are blocking the real one. They could have blocked the fake one if they didn't want Solitude in my graveyard. Clearly, they're not worried about it. Okay, another Endurance in the streets. This Ardent Plea has been a lightning bolt's worth of damage already for the flavor text. Exalted. I'm going to play Felia here. Hardcast Subtlety at any point is devastating, and waiting doesn't play around it. I'm just going to go for it. Something's happening. Yep, the Nightmare Scenario. I'm going to put Felia on the bottom because I'm trying to draw Quantum Riddler. I think that's my actual best card. Come on, Riddler. Consign in memory. Late. You're late! Okay, I'm committed to taking 6 this turn. Riddler is still a banger. I go to 4. Cycling Waker of Waves. Or whatever this is, the fake version of Cycle. Look at your top 2, put one in your hand, one in the graveyard. Dumped an Ardent Plea. They either already have access to the next living end, or they don't think that's how they're going to win this game. They were thinking about it, tapped and untapped mana a bunch of times, and then decided to pass the turn. Riddler! Riddler! Ridiculous Archive. I'm not literally dead. I will continue to play the game. Oh, there he is. Gonna be a little late, but I still think I have to hold it. Oh, I am literally dead. If they attack with only Subtlety and get the Exalted trigger, though I could consign the Exalted trigger, that would be the most embarrassing play I've ever made, but also is definitely just correct. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ha ha! Counter that 5 times. And this is actually bonkers because this means I get to keep the reflection as I draw the Riddler and double up, triple up, whatever, see if I can actually do anything. But whatever that spell is they were thinking about playing last turn is still in their hand now. They could just living end second main here. Okay, I'm at 1. Pass to me. I think, do I use the arena on the Quantum Riddler? No, that doesn't matter. Okay. Warp Riddler. Please don't be boring. Please don't just have the subtlety. Let me actually draw some cards. Here we go. Drawn 2. Another Riddler. Ragavan can block. What am I actually trying to hit? Ephemerate. That's what I'm looking for. All right. I'm going to cast a Ragavan to get my hand lower. And then I'm going to copy Quantum Riddler. Try to draw 2 more cards. Or 3 more cards, because these do stack. Felia. Yeah, I didn't draw a way to keep this in play. Sad. All right. I am going to lose to this subtlety after all. That was pretty sweet, though. Like, an Ephemerate, a Lightning Bolt, Galvanic Discharge, whatever it is in my deck. All of those things. A Solitude. There was a lot of action still to be had there. Okay, Surgical Extraction seems like such a incomplete answer to what my opponent's doing, but it's probably worth having. Mystical Dispute. We are going to have some fights. Strict Serenade, Artifact, Creature, or Planeswalker. They're not casting any of those that I care about. High Noon completely turns off the entire Cascade mechanic. That sounds pretty good. Prismatic Ending looks bad. Consign to Memory is great. Galvanic Discharge is deeply mediocre. And that is a clean map right there. Yeah, I'm in for this. Let's go. Having Teferi and High Noon, 4 cards in my deck that completely blank my opponent's entire strategy. That's strong. Being legally required to consign to memory an Exalted Trigger was awesome. And that Exalted Trigger did 4 or 5 damage that game. That was crazy. My hand does not interact with Living End, but it does have my quick Riddler scam. I'm going to go for it. Elegant Parlor first. Felia in the graveyard. That gives me some material post Living End. Solitude, that's more Living End material. Hedge Maze. Dumping Force of Negation. Does that mean they already have Force, or that they don't have lands in Living End? That could go either way. It's impossible for me to know. All right, there is a land now. Here we go. Get some blue source. Steam Vents versus Hallowed Fountain. Do I want double red or double white more in this matchup? Probably double white. Hallowed Fountain. Felia. You can't Mystical Dispute this. You could Subtlety it, but it's pretty early for that fight. You could totally Mystical Dispute this one, though, but that puts it in the graveyard for later. Street Wraith in response, looking for the answers. We're in. Attack. Flicker out. Rizzler. Okay, and I drew another Felia. That's an easy white card for Solitude. Won't even miss it. I'm not cracking this fetch land because I could still draw Consign to Memory right now. Or Mystical Dispute. Dispute's a lot worse than Consign, but if we end up in a fight where they send a YOLO Living End, which isn't even good, they only have Street Wraith in the graveyard right now. I could win a fight over a counterspell. Okay, bang. Fetching for Thundering Falls. Get more blue under me. Solitude. In the bin. Make that living end even shittier. Okay, I could scam out another Riddler here, or I could hold up Mystical Dispute for real. I think I want another Riddler. Keep them coming. Solitudes are coming too. Attack. If my opponent flashes in an Endurance here, I will Solitude it. But I'm going to let the trigger resolve first. Clear out the graveyard. And then new Solitude enters the graveyard, and Endurance enters the exile zone. I could Mystical Dispute a Subtlety here. The Subtlety would still end up in the graveyard. Okay, that's gone. Fresh Solitude in my graveyard. 7 damage pushing through. And I actually do want to fetch this time before. Oh, wow. They just don't even want to play anymore. I was going to Surveil before I drew another card because I had the mana up to consign. All right, that was nice. That was the cleanest execution of this deck's primary game plan that I've had yet in this entire league. Okay, game on, same shit. This hand is nice. Ragavan is exactly that guy to apply pressure to this deck in a way that I can be on board before they're even threatening a living end. And then, of course, having the consign is great. Edge Maze kept a card on top. There's a lot of flage going on here. Steam Vents. Rag, do you have a subtlety to make my life boring? Nope, cool. I don't know if there's anything this deck can do on turn 2 to interact with the Ragavan. Oh, we've seen the turtle. I guess they could bounce it. Dumbass turtle. There's the one Wrath of the Skies that's still in my deck for reasons that are unclear, even to me. Am I getting turtled? What else would you be doing with mana here? Oh yeah, alright. Been turtled. Recast Rag second main and hit my land drop. Oh no, did I fuck up? Is there another untapped blue source in my deck? Oh no, these are my only blue fetchables. Uh-oh, if they living end right now, I mean, they would need a bunch of Street Wraiths to even make that worth it. Wow, alright, that was ugly. Or, I guess could have been ugly. Whoops. Should have countered that one. Or counted it. Okay, Meticulous Archive. Put Elegant Parlor in the graveyard. My opponent is showing Endurance all day here. I would be willing to Solitude that. Okay, let's go. Right in there, Rag. Endurance. Let the trigger resolve. That puts Elegant Parlor back in my deck for future fetchline considerations. Force pitching. I think Wrath of the Skies is just way worse than Flage, even though I have 2 of them. And I can beat a Subtlety here with the Consign, though that does leave... This is fine. Yeah, all right. I'm going to Consign the Subtlety, because Solitude beats their follow-up anyway. Like, I can't Consign a Cascade trigger now, but I don't need to. Rag, hit ya. There's not very many good cards in their deck, and that's certainly not one. And I'm gonna just Flage, go face, put some damage on them. That kills the Subtlety if they go for Living End here. I'm starting to get a little worried about the fair plan. Just the next Endurance, I'm not in a great shape to cover. I'm not stressed at all about Living End. Okay, remember that Surveil hand my opponent put back in my deck for me? I can get it now. I'm just going to attack into Endurance. Like, if they have another one, fine. I'll Flage at second main. If they don't, Rag's got to get his pound of flesh here. Flip to Force a Negation. Hope they do something in my end step. You want to cast a spell in my end step? Nope. Okay, that's fine. Meticulous Archive. Kept a card on top. So is that just to make Ragavan worse? Or did you forget about Ragavan? Surveiling and scrying when your opponent has Ragavan is such a crapshoot. I get Elegant Parlor. Mystical Dispute. Heck yeah. I'm at easy hardcast mode on that one. Draw for turn. Are we in? Alright, counterspell's in my hand now. I'm going to fetch Shock just because that lets me win a Mystical Dispute war. And we're about to find out, I think, if my opponent stacked a bad card on top or forgot Ragavan was there. Oh, Endurance. I think they forgot Ragavan was there. Okay, green, green, colorless. Endurance, target you. Pretty good. Waker of Waves activation. Dumped a living end. Yep, that's not very useful in your hand. Cycling Curator. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have them at 1 here. Can we finish the... Okay, just evoking Foundation Breaker. They're just putting shit in the graveyard, trying to make the living end better next turn. Do I have any way to deal 1 extra damage? I don't think I do. Because giving this Flage haste doesn't even matter. Oh my god. That card's nice. Exiled Misty Rainforest from them. Oh, High Noon, actually. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm 1 mana short of this being a lethal Lava Axe, but it'll be a lethal Lava Axe next turn. And I know I could play Flage first to put them to 1, but I don't think that matters, especially with Counterspell in my hand. And they jammed off that Foundation Breaker last turn just to spend their mana, and yet here's High Noon now in play. Hallowed Fountain. Tapped. They could still go second Foundation Breaker, blow up High Noon, send a Cascade, but the Mystical Dispute will catch that. Wow, okay. What a battle. I love these Living End decks. They feel like the appropriate level for a combo deck in a format as powerful as Modern. But we had the tools to take it out. Ragavan coast to coast. On to the final round.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
I'm on the draw in the final round. Positive records locked. Playing for the bread and butter 4-1. I'm going to keep his hand. A removal spell, 2 Rizzlers and a Dream. Spire Bluff Canal. I'm a little suspicious that the Spire Bluff Canal didn't cast a creature. Are we against Ruby Storm here? Oh, Fiery Islet. It does look like prowess. What is this Fiery Islet? Promotional cards, retro. Does this exist in real life? I am exactly the mark who buys cards I already own when they're re-released in retro. And I've never seen that before. Elegant Parlor. We appear to be against some sort of artifact, affinity, something or other. Ephemerate. That will be helpful next turn. Oh, this turn I could Galvanic Discharge a Pinnacle Emissary and hope to turn the corner, though weapons manufacturing pretty scary. Another one, let's go. Mox Opal. That is on automatically because it brings 2 munitions with it. Show me the Claws of Gix. Alright, Pinnacle Emissary is here. I'm gonna blast it immediately. In response to these triggers means they don't even get to cast a spell. They did generate 4 completely free rectangles this turn. 6 completely free rectangles this turn. I guess it's not completely free. They spent a card to get them. And the rectangles don't do anything on their own. But if my opponent just plays like Engineered Explosives that activates it, I die. A munitions token, if you're not familiar, when this token leaves the battlefield, it deals 2 to any target. There's no natural way to do that, but presumably, if you've put that card in your deck, you have a way to do it. Sacred Foundry into the garbage. Bobbling me, starting to move pieces around here. Only 1 bobble. Yikes. Hey, Plains, they did see that one. Might as well use it. A Riddler. Draw a card. Ephemerate. This is what we came to do. Just hope I'm not dead. Engineered Explosives, GG. Okay. I got nothing here. Except a big ol' Sphinx. Versus my opponent's 4 cards in hand. Oh yeah, the Claws of Gix. Let's go. Yeah, this is sack a permanent, you gain 1 life. And they have 10 permanents that are delightful to sacrifice here. And they have exactly 3 mana, which is enough to kill my Riddler, which will make my Ephemerate die with no action. It's not as bad as Engineered Explosives, but it's pretty horrific. I love when a card like Claws of Gix just comes out of obscurity to become relevant when a card like Weapons Manufacturing is printed. Good stuff. Okay. Cracking munitions, yeah, just deleting this poor Quantum Riddler. And the Claws of Gix even gains a life, so they're not even losing life off Fiery Islet. They're going up on this exchange. Okay. That's happened. No targets for Ephemerate. Big ol' garbage ball, Scalding Tarn in my hand. And I guess I warp another Riddler. Ragavan, I could dash that right now. That's probably worth it. It's never going to connect again. In there. Oh, holy shit. Well, I'm glad I took that. Playing it doesn't matter. Yeah, I think I just want that thing in exile. I'd love to blow up the Claws of Gix, but it'll take all the munitions with it. Yeah, all right, the old Ragavan Thoughtseizing the top of your deck. That's one of the modes on that card. Emery, Lurker of the Lock. This is a card I can interact with under traditional means. Arcbound Ravager, nice. That's a way to clear the munitions. Pithing Needle. What do we needle here? Needled Scalding Tarn. That's clever. Oh yeah, they did see one. Or maybe more than one off of Baubles. Sure, yeah, whatever. Thalia, okay. Teferi, buy me a turn versus this Emery, please. Bounce Emery. They could kill Emery with a munition and I don't draw a card, but I think they just want Emery, actually. Thalia dies to everything. Ragavan dies to everything. There's currently 1 mana available. I could... Okay, I think I'm going to Arena to attack with 2 creatures while it's even possible to do that. Okay. Arena, haste mana, cast Ragavan, not with dash, cast Thalia with haste, and opponent can decide which of these they're most worried about, and it's probably Thalia. Munition killed Thalia, yep. Have you ever had a deck full of X1 and X2 creatures versus someone with 8 munitions in play and the ability to sacrifice them? Like a Fiery Islet, sure. Welding Jar. I have to answer Emery every turn of the game or I lose. That Ravager in the graveyard is enough to do it. Right, munitions, probably going... Alright, going after the Ragavan's interesting. That's a card that actually matters when and how you play it. Right, exile for Emery. Alright, well, I'll take that. Plus Teferi, Flage. Take out the Emery. Right, sacking Emery to gain 1 life. That's fine, as long as it's dead. And then Scalding Tarn doesn't work, so I'll use Flooded Strand. Do I want basic planes? Do I want to take 2 damage? I think if they find a sack outlet, I'm just dead anyway, so I'll get Hallowed Fountain here for good mana. And I'm going to dash the other Ragavan in a spot where my opponent does not have mana to hit it. I'd love to hit a Pithing Needle, Lava Spur Boots. I could see that actually being useful. Okay, cool. Yeah, if I hit a Pithing Needle off their deck and name Claws of Gix, that's sick. Firebluff Canal. It's turn 7 and the thing still is untapped. That's just cool deck building. Shadow Spear. All right, that's 2 more munitions, but not an important permanent. Opponent has 3 mana up. That is exactly enough to clear a Flage. Plus Teferi, but I can Flage more than once. Early and often. Okay. Red, white, white, and an extra red, because I want to also cast Ragavan this turn. Flage in. Donkia. Alright, use it or lose it. Wait, why? Oh, there's still a trigger on the stack. It's just under my other card. Okay. Lava Spur Boots. Use it or lose it on those munitions. Here they go. 4 damage. 6 damage. That's fine. Got a plan for that. Haste Monkey. I am actually going to use my treasure to equip the boots here, because I have Surveil lands left in my deck that can get Flage in action. All right, Pithing Needle off the top. Tormod Script. I don't hate that. We've seen Emery. We've seen Graveyard Synergies. All right, pass the turn. Ragavan's slightly harder to kill now. And if they kill Ragavan, then they won't be able to kill this Quantum Riddler. Teferi's approaching a number where he can bounce something. Why do I keep putting this Quantum Riddler up there? Oh, because there's a lot of permanents. Here, it's down here in my bonus hand. It's confused me multiple times that there's triggers under my Giant Quantum Riddler. They played no cards. And step fetch, get that last Surveil land. Galvanic Discharge, I don't think you are what I want. Big draws, a third Scalding Tarn, hell yeah. Opponent has officially triple Hymn-to-Terractomy here. Okay, if I attack with Ragavan, opponent has to interact with that. Well, they don't have to, they could take it. But if they do interact with it, then I could stick Flage and put Boots on it second main. I guess I could have just forced them into it. But I would rather actually have Flage in play than not. Took a Mox Opal, yeah, I can use that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Quantum Riddler is worse than Flage and therefore better for me right now. Can I get... Yeah, with these fetch lands turned off... Oh, I can cast Flage with Natural Haste next turn. All right. Blue, blue, 1, 2, 3. Rizzler. Surprise. If I draw Ephemerate here, I'm actually super Gucci. All right. Not super Gucci, but I can move the Boots over. And then when they spend all their resources dealing with this, I could play Fable. All right. They didn't spend any resources on it. Fable, get in there. That'll turn these Scalding Tarns into real money. And draw an extra card, because Riddler will still be around. Okay. Okay. In step, we've got some activations. I assume they're going to take out Shaman, or they're just going face now. Is that there? They hit me for 8 twice. I think I'm at 1. Is that true? One of us did what? My opponent was probably paying better attention to this than I was. Yeah, if I die right now and I could have flaged to gain 3 life, that's just completely on losing the plot. Okay, opponent has 4 munitions left, 4 mana available, and I'm at 9. They would have to draw a mana positive artifact here. Like Mox Opal kills me. Or if they have like an actual burn spell, just Galvanic Blast and then sack some munitions. All right, that is an artifact, but it's not mana positive. Bobbling me. And they can't rip Galvanic Blast off the top with Bobble and finish me off because I have to Fairy. Ironically, I probably would have just cracked the Scalding Tarn to do stuff this turn and lost the game if they hadn't needled it. I do think I outthought myself last turn as well, and if I'm gonna do this Quantum Riddler shit, at least do it pre-combat where they have to interact or take an extra 5. Okay, they're passing the turn. I'm at 9. They can deal 8 anytime. Bobble draws a card. Simian Spirit Guide is not legal in the format. I'm going to discard 2 Scalding Tarns and then draw 3 cards. Another Flage. Let's go. Okay. Do I want to bounce the Claws with Teferi? Does that win me the game? I think it does, right? Yeah, then you just can't munition me. And I can stick the Flage with Haste, crush in. 1 life is plenty. That turn all the way back on turn 2 when I Galvanic discharged that Pinnacle Emissary, I think I'm going to win this game at 1 life, and if my opponent had made 1 drone on that turn, I would have lost already. But because their weapons manufacturing triggered off the Emikal entering, they didn't have priority to cast a spell like they normally do before you could kill that. Okay, sacking Fiery Islet to draw a card in response. With Teferi in play, I'm trying to imagine what that's even playing towards. Okay. Oh, you could sack something to kill Teferi, then cast a spell, because Teferi's down to 1 loyalty now. My opponent is just picking off my little guys, though. That's not going to be good enough. 13 life. That does not come close to stabilizing versus a hasty Flage. Red, red, white, white. I'll use the basic planes in my hand. What an insane game. Brought to you in part by my opponent's Lava Spur Boots. Thanks, Ragavan. Attack for a gajillion. Wow! I think that's the most permanence on turn 3 that I've ever beaten. Okay, Wrath of the Skies comes in. Wear Tear. I did see Urza Saga in the deck. I think they milled past 1. Darkbound Ravagers in there. Emery. I could see arguments for Strict Serenade. Artifacts and creatures are a lot of their deck. Obsidian Charmaw. And do I want that just for blowing up Urza Saga? I don't think so. Teferi, despite having a good showing that game, is not as good as these sideboard cards I'm bringing in. High Noon could stop some of their more crazy turns, but High Noon comes down after the crazy turns may have happened already. And I might need to cast multiple spells in a turn to catch up. I don't think I want High Noon. Consigned to Memory counters Arcbound Ravager and Engineered Explosives. Those are pretty important. I don't think I need all of them, though. Ragavan, again, Ragavan had a moment of heroism that round, but will get gummed up by Emeries and Arcbound Ravagers under normal circumstances. And Wrath of the Skies, can I even cast this if they set up a huge munitions? I might have to Wrath on a turn where I can also consign to memory and counter 3 or 4 of them. That's wild. Okay, I think this is how I'm going to do it. I'm still kind of thinking about the Obsidian Charmaw. I think Mystical Dispute is too slow. Okay, I mean, I have my Scam again. I have one of my most potent cards in my deck, and I can Solitude a turn 1 Emissary if I think they're going to go Buck. All right, they're not going to play Emissary if they have Opal. This is an Emery open. Okay, or it's a hold-up counterspell open. Elegant Parlor. Ragavan. Sorry, fella. I don't think you're it this round. That turn I just played was the time to have Ragavan, and my opponent... Or I did not have Ragavan. My opponent did not do anything about that, but... Okay, Force of Negation, 2 Urza Sagas milled over, so there's not even actually an artifact in this graveyard. I don't actually care about getting Tormod scripted twice this turn, so I'm not gonna fight over this Emery just yet. So drawing the second Felia gives me white pitch fodder. I'll play a Felia into very likely removal or a counterspell, but I'm still gonna put it out there. I could try to bait them with the Solitude on the Emery and see if they'd counter that, and then I stick Felia. But this Emery isn't even doing anything. Yeah, Metallic Rebuke, that's fine. This looks like a good turn to stick a Fable. And I'm going to get basic planes here. I don't know if this is a Blood Moon deck, but I wouldn't rule it out. I see 2 red sources and a basic island and a Mox Opal that's unaffected by Blood Moon. Those are all things I'm worried about. And even if I'm not actively consciously worried about it, it's enough that I can play around it, so I will. And I'm going to loot away at least one of these lands. Do I want to dump them both? No, I think it's just the tap land. I drew a land anyway. All right, my hand's pretty stacked. They're going to have to combo kill me because they're not going to outgrind me at this point. Tormod's crypting me. Yep, might as well. Emery's not doing anything else. Okay, that resolves. I can play Felia through Metallic Rebuke or Mystical Dispute as long as I don't fetch from my Surveil land first. I have this covered. And then I'll get a Surveil land after the fact. Thundering Falls. I don't want a basic mountain. Arena of Glory. I could get crazy with Quantum Riddler right now. Or I could get normal with Quantum Riddler right now. Yeah, I'm just going to be normal with Quantum Riddler. Sandbag the arena. Mystical Dispute. Happy to pay. Are there 2 of them over there? I couldn't have beat 2 anyway. All right, double Rebuke. Fair enough. I was never playing around that shit. And I think I would actually rather have another turn with Fable set up than have Reflection of Kiki-Jiki in play. It would not take much for me to pull the trigger on this Emery. If my opponent just plays, like, puts Mishra's Bauble on the stack, I'm going off in response. Okay, that does clear out a bunch of my stuff. Oh, it's a Kappa. Clever. Clever, clever. All right, that's fine. I can handle a Kappa. A draw for turn. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm just going to loot away one of the extra Felia. And I actually have enough mana to hard cast Solitude and pay the ward, as long as I do it in combat. I'm going to flicker out Fable again. Trigger, trigger. Solitude. Target. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fable is much scarier on turn 2 than turn 6. Still a good card, though. And I am now shields down to Emery if something huge were to occur. But they just have nothing! Wow, okay. They were banking hard on that first Emery Mill finding some action, and it just didn't. Sweet. A 4-1 record. The bread and butter finish with a bread and butter modern deck. Whether this deck in particular would scratch the blue-white control itch for someone who misses playing Cryptic Command, that I do not know. But I do know that we had a lot of cool decisions, making game plans over multiple turns, some games going 10, 15 turns this league. Teferi was involved. That's a neoclassic control card. Teferi wasn't even around in the Snapcaster Cryptic days of Modern, but it's been around long enough that we could kind of call this a throwback classic card. Certainly when compared to the pile of Modern Horizons cards that are in this deck. But there it is. Jeskai, as close as passes for Jeskai Control these days while being competitive in Modern. Jordan, I hope this is inspiration on your Modern journey. Like I said at the top, I do have a blue-black tempo Psychic Frog control kind of deck in my queue as well. Stick around, check in. That will be coming out eventually. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon to support the channel. I'll see you next time.